kidding. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put up a slide. You are going to describe to the people around you. You can't go to someone that you know. You have to describe to someone your home break without using words. All right? Everyone to your feet. Stand up. Go. Describe your home break without using any words whatsoever. You can use noises like whoppa, whoppa. There is so much talking going on for someone that's meant to be not using any words. All right, I've got a t-shirt for the best person that can act out their home break. Whoppa! Maybe a guy and a girl. Come to the stage, let's see you act out your home break without using words. And we wanted to see if we can guess where that home break actually is. If you think you can act out your home break without using words, come and show us on the stage. Hey, bro. All right, is there any more contestants, or is it just these two just going straight for the t-shirts? All right. Ladies first? All right, what is your name?
Geordie.
Okay, and now, Geordie, you have the stage. Can you please act out for us? And if you don't know Geordie, then I want you to guess where her home break is. If you can guess it, there's a t-shirt for you too. All right, Geordie, let's see how good you can act out your home break. Woo! All right, talk us through that. So you're walking down some stairs?
Down the stairs to, I'm not going to tell you where it is. And then you come to all these pebbles on the beach and you have to try and stumble your way over them. And then you start paddling out, and suddenly you're getting dragged back because there's a whole bunch of seaweed attached to your leggy you have to get rid of. And then you paddle out to a rip bowl, and then you just shred.
And then you just shred. And what was the...
You watch out for sharks because it's pretty scary out there.
All right. For anyone who doesn't know Geordie, where is her home break? Yell it out. Yell it out. Australia. There's more than one break in Australia. Not Bells, not Phillip Island. Oh, it is Phillip Island. Who was first to say Phillip Island? Did Jono, who's sitting comfortably next to you, tell you where she lives? I don't know. I feel like his conscience is saying you're not allowed the t-shirt. Am I right? All right. Come over here, young man. What is your name?
My name's Luke.
And Luke, it is your time to describe your home break without using words. Go. Just in case anyone blinked and missed it, can you do it one more time? Okay. Do we have any guesses where Luke's home break is? Huntington Beach. Shots fired. Yell it out from down the back. Where is his home break?
Hey. Who said that? Who said Coronado?
Very accurate description. Congratulations. If that's not your size, you can go switch it over there. Well done. Can I invite up our worship team, please? And I would love to invite up someone to pray in their native tongue to start our session who hasn't prayed and your language hasn't been prayed from the front. So would you mind coming on down if that sounds like you? Japanese. All right, we're going to open our session in Japanese. Can you nominate someone, please? If you can't nominate in 3, 2, it's you. 1. Kyohei.
No one praying? Australia?
Is there anyone from Japan in here that's going to open in Japanese? Yes. Oh, yeah. Come. All right. Daniel is going to pray in Māori.
Hello?
E te atua, ho mai ki mātou, tō maramatanga, tō rangimarie, tō kaha me toa aroha, mō tēnei rā. And just quickly, in Māori we have a thing called a whakatauki, which is kind of like a story or legend. And this one goes, Naku te ruru no te ruru, ki ora e te iwi, which is your basket and my basket. If we bring them together, we will thrive. And I just had a picture of all the nations that are up there on the wall. And everyone here, when you came, you brought a basket of like your knowledge and like from your faith communities. And we've just brought all of those baskets. They're all here. You can't see them like in Māori culture, but we're all taking a little bit of each other's baskets back when we leave in a few days. Kia ora.
Why don't we all stand? Oh gosh, my guitar strap just fell off. That was nice and peaceful, and then we've just got the time for one song this afternoon, because tonight we're going to do a bit of an extended worship session. So yeah, just enjoy this song and let's get into it. Goodness of God. Sing all my life. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You were close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. Oh, I have lived in the goodness of God. Let's declare these words.
Yeah, thank you, Jesus, for this time with you. And yeah, we just lift up the rest of the afternoon to you, Lord God. And yeah, I pray whoever's speaking that your hand is just over them and that the words that they speak are just only from you, Jesus. And yeah, pray that everyone can be alert and awake and ready and on fire for what you're going to say this afternoon. Amen.
Amen. All right, grab a seat and have a look at the screens because we are moving to the expression session with Surf Church Collective.
This is what's wonderful about pioneering something new. So what's wonderful about starting a church where there aren't any other Christians. Because I can't do a big flyer run. I don't have any of those options. The only way our church is going to grow is through people getting saved. God's got to turn up and start saving some people. That's his job. All I got to do is just be truthful to who he is. Follow him. But he's kind of in the business of turning up and showing off. That's what God loves to do. He's the I am.
You. All right. Well, I don't know if you know this good-looking gentleman beside me, but some call him Richard and some call him the Ginger Vicar. And if you haven't met him, you should totally hang out with this guy. And I'm pretty excited to be here with you today. And we are talking about Surf Church Collective, and I firstly want to just say, I want to ask actually, how long has the Surf Church Collective been around? Because I know, and maybe we're going to hear a bit of your story to begin with, but I want to know like how it came about and when it came about, but it's like what stirs something like this on to then get it to today? So there's a few, that's a little bit of a snapshot of what we're going to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are nearly 10 years into this conversation. So I can't believe it. A decade has almost passed. The first kind of moment that we started to discuss and understand that God was doing something globally around this surf church thing was 2016. And we kind of started to formalize a thing between 2016 2017. So actually in 2027 it will be, we're going to say, wow, that's the 10-year marker, and we're going to do something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you got to do a party for that.
We're probably going to go for a surf and maybe a bit of church. It would be apt.
That would be most appropriate.
Yeah, it would be.
So 10 years ago,
Yeah.
what was stirring in your heart, and I guess what was the experience up to that point that would cause you to go, I think this is what the Lord is asking us to do?
Come down, bro. We're surfing. It's cooking.
Phenomenal joy of growing up as a Surfers UK. And my hero actually, the guy who kind of showed me surfing and faith and the combo and how wonderful that would be as a little 12-year-old kid is here tonight. Simon Twitchen right there. Wave your hand, Simon Twitchen. This
Yes,
kid's
Simon.
right there. He won't wave his hand. That's Simon. You. So, Simon Twitch, he taught me how to surf, which is why I'm so good. Not. There's a lot to answer for. But he just really kind of modeled this faith, this adventure, this fact that these two worlds, faith and surfing, could collide. And man, my early days were phenomenal. But I felt a call of God to go into ministry. And so eventually, in order to do that, I would leave the beach, leave the coastline behind and go and train in a degree in theology in the center of the UK, in Birmingham, the furthest place away from the ocean. And while at Bible college, the only thing I could do to come close to surfing was skating, and they banned it because apparently I was way too dangerous on a skateboard. I then tried to go surfing for one weekend, and they nearly expelled me for being away and missing an event at at college. So my long hair, my surfer mindset was not really welcome in my training space, and they were as wonderful as they were, and a great training institution. They were suiting and booting me, preparing me for something that was separate from the tribe of people that I was passionate about. So I went into mainline ministry. I met my wonderful wife, Reggie, and we pastored a bunch of churches. But there was always this longing to go back to my tribe. I cannot tell you how good it is to be with you guys as family on mission, us as a tribe together.
How long have you been part of Christian Surfers?
Since I was 11, and apparently I may be we're going to check it out, but I think I'm member number 6 for the UK. There's a list somewhere. But I may have never paid my fees, so I may actually not be on the book, but in my brain I'm member number 6.
Okay.
So
So it's always been in your DNA.
always been in my DNA. Loved it. But this journey of kind of being away, but doing church, and then witnessing to my friends who were all surfers and trying to get them along to my church in Weston-super-Mare. And there's a whole surfing crew there, but I bring them along to church and they go, it's okay. And I was like, I'm doing this as good as I can. You know, I've got everything that you should have. I've got shiny lights, I've got motivational talks, I've got, all sorts of, fancy things going on, but it's just not connecting with them and their culture. So we started to do a mission to the southwest of France, and my wife and I we were just going, okay, this is a place where there are no churches, there really are no Christians, and alongside Christian surfers, we just started to go, hey, we've got to establish something here. If people are going to get saved, then where do they go to be discipled? And that's when, for us, the thing started to go, we've got to go plant a church specifically in that surf culture for those surfers. So our journey began in 2012. Across the surf church story, it's much bigger, because people have been doing this, as we discover in 2016, for 10, for 20 years. There's loads of people around the world that God had been raising up to plant surfer-friendly churches.
And how did you discover them?
So Roy Harley did this trip globally around the world, and as he's traveling, he's spotting these different spots, these different surfer guys that are doing this. And so he came and said, look, we need to get people together to have this conversation. So Christian Surfers International Conference in Australia, we all get into a room, and I didn't know any of these people, they didn't know me, but I was convinced that God had told me about this surf church thing, and that it all started in France. And there was a bunch of other people that were convinced that God had spoken to them about it, and it all started where they were. And what was happening is, not on the outside, but internally, we're all jockeying for position and control and authority over this new idea. Right. And then this beautiful girl from Argentina just said, look, my friends, they're getting saved, they want to explore faith, but the church keeps saying no. Will somebody come and plant a church? And as she's saying this, she just is crying. And amongst all of these kind of leaders who were doing this, and we all just broke at that moment as we saw, it's not about trying to control something or hold something. God's doing something in the surf world, and we need to be obedient and be humble and serve what God's doing. And so from that moment onwards, the conversation started. Instead of the lecture or the control, we just started to talk. So what is it that God's doing in your place? What is God doing in your place? To tell us a story behind what's happening there. And this just leveled us all to a place of relationship, friendship, and affirming the beautiful thing that God's doing in the surf world with planting churches. And it has been wonderful since 2016.
That's awesome. And what nations did you start with, and what nations are you in now? And how far does this thing spread?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there was 5 or 6 nations at the time. Maybe around about 11 churches that we knew of that are surfer-friendly churches. The truth of the matter is there will have been a lot more surfer-friendly churches around the world that we just didn't know about. But as we started to formulate and come together, the vision that kind of grasped us and united us is we wanted to, see that every surfer has access to a surf-friendly church. That became our vision. And so the unity of coming together in relationship to plant churches really just started to drive us as a community to resource one another globally. Share the story, communicate this, empower people to go, train people, and keep this thing moving. And that thing kind of grew to maybe around about 30 or so people. Then COVID came, and that's the moment that Reggie and I launched into actually trying to help facilitate this globally. And we were invited to do that, and we went, okay, we're going to do 15 nations, visit all the things, and we left in January 2020, which is the worst year to ever travel the world, anywhere. And the worst year ever to go into church planting in the history of church planting, as every single church around the world was closed down, and we're going, hey, anybody want to start a new one? And everybody was going, oh, I can barely hold on to what we've got. And we just were literally stuck in Roy and Sharon's house. They were so beautiful. They allowed us to come and live with them as a family, and we're just going, whoa, what's going on? But in the midst of that moment, God was just again preparing our heart for what was next. And while I was unable to find a way through any of that, as many of us were, we just, what's going to happen here? I started to realize that most of my life, I've thought I've been living an adventurous life of faith. But the truth is, I've had so many backup plans, I'm just good at lateral thinking. Whereas in this scenario, I had nothing to bring to the plate. We'd lost $20,000 of flight money to travel the world, the dream of seeing all these different churches. Our insurance company went bust. We had nothing. We genuinely were stuck. We had no way to go forward, no way to go home. We'd got rid of our house. We just were stuck. And I just broke before the Lord, and the Lord said, listen, just do what I've asked you to do right where you are. And so with Roy and Sharon and a beautiful couple, CJ and Natalie, we started to help out and plant a church there in J-Bay over the course of those next couple of years. And then slowly this thing would start to gather momentum again as we got through that COVID season. And suddenly in all sorts of different places around the world, I'm hearing rumors, we're starting a surf church. We're starting a surf church. And people just started to gravitate around the conversation. So now we're probably around about 65 to 70 churches around the world, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
It's really exciting.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah, that is awesome.
It's really...
And I think, you know, for many contexts that I've heard of that have surf church and where Christian surfers has existed, and it's like been meeting a need. Because some contexts, like I think of New Zealand, there's lots of different churches that are, like New Zealand is very coastal.
Yeah.
And so, but it seems like, and I spoke to Samuel in the water this morning, and just hearing how their church started in Puerto Rico. Porto, that's right. And then when they got to 30 people, they felt to plant another one.
Yeah.
And just to hear these stories of them expanding and growing and spreading because it's meeting a need and it's serving a community of people that don't have something to go to in their local context.
Yeah, there's so many places around the world where we need to plant churches. And also so many places around the world where we could help as a Christian surfers community and a surf church community, help the local church be more surfer friendly. And what do I mean by that? Help that local church in their journey of cross-cultural mission, to share the gospel within the culture that they live. And the tragedy, I think, over the last maybe 50, 60 years is the church has become very insular. And we kind of look after ourselves and cater for ourselves, and we go on our own spiritual journey, and we've lost sight of what's going on in our communities. It's not the case all over the world, of course. But we need to help one another, inspire one another to connect with those who don't know Jesus and make a difference in people's lives. So it's my great hope and prayer that together we can inspire people to really reach the lost with Jesus in an effective way.
So tell us about some of your team that are here,
Yeah.
because one of them is our keynote speaker, Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis and Kyle. The Leon family, they're looking after the Americas, the area directors. They are planted loads and loads of Christian surfers and driven Christian surfers around Costa Rica, and also planted a whole bunch of churches. They're the most beautiful, real, humble, organic family you could ever meet. And I was desperate to get them to come and work with us internationally. And Reggie and I had a mad idea of inviting them to come and walk with us for 4 months, for a month on this Camino de Santiago, carrying surfboards across the coast of Spain. And and crazily they said yes with their entire family. I mean, they had a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old and an 18-year-old, as well as all of our kids, walking up these mountains, 500 miles of hiking with surfboards. And in that journey, as we just considered what's going on around the world, we just fell in love with the vision and just started to go, wow, family on mission. We're two families that just love doing this together. So they're helping out, and also Claudia and Samuel as well, who are running the European aspect in the EMA area. Amazing family doing incredible work in Porto, just pioneering in a very secular space. Post-Christian, Catholic history, very unique world, so much experience in church planting there. And then across our broader team, we've got amazing church leaders with fantastic history. George and Cheryl also here with us right now, lead a church in Shoreline. Robbie O'Brien as well, who's leading a one in Florida. And we've got big churches, little churches, we've got churches in houses, we've got churches under palm trees. This is broad and wonderful and exciting and sometimes messy, but what is happening at the center is a conversation, and that's the important thing. It's not any one person driving this, Jesus. We want Jesus to drive this. What we want to do is be humble and obedient and listen to him and one another as we go.
Amen. And I can imagine that you've already had a few conversations with people. Seeing as this is the international gathering, we've got people from all around the world who are Christian Surfers DNA like you. Yeah. And where does it look like in the next? What does it look like in the next few years for you?
So we're wanting to empower people to go plant surfer-friendly churches. That would be the big heart of why we're together in relationship. And so we're wanting to. We're wanting to inspire you that maybe you may not be the leader of a church plant, but maybe you can help plant a church. So our kind of statement is we want to empower people to help. And while we definitely need leaders, we need people who are going to stand up and drive a thing forward. In fact, when I think about, for Reggie and I, our journey in France, if it wasn't for all the people that came along and helped and made the thing happen, and I actually realized looking back that I just played kind of a small role in it, really. There was a little bit of directing and vision casting, but if it wasn't for all of these people, we would have got nowhere. So with your skill sets, with all the things that you do well, you know, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a musician, maybe you're a graphic designer, maybe you're a plumber, maybe you're a doctor, whatever it is, how can you use that skill for the kingdom and make a difference in your local community and serving in your local church? And as we look globally, how could you use that skill to go make a difference in planting another church? And so I think our job is to inspire people to go on the journey of planting churches. The world needs more churches planted. 100%.
Awesome. Listen, you said helping about 3 or 4 times, and I know it's your heart. And so what are you doing to help people with resources?
Good question, mate. It's almost like we talked about it before.
It is a little bit like that.
So I wrote a book last year called Surf Church, which is kind of charting what's been happening globally over the last number of years, and then sharing some of the stories of our journey in France, and then maybe some principles of how you can create a missional community that can grow into a church. And so I've written, hopefully, what is a practical book. It's written by a ginger dyslexic dude, so you need to bear that in mind. It could be a bit of a struggle, but I wrote a book that maybe is a helpful resource to you guys. You can check that out on Amazon. There it is. And that's the thing. Then with these flyers that we've just produced and thrown out at you guys, just check it out and maybe jump online and check the website. We've got a new site coming up just in a few moments, so please bear in mind this old site's coming down. But actually, maybe your pastor, maybe your church is a surfer-friendly church that we don't know about. We'd love to be talking with that church that you belong to and learning lessons from them and sharing that with others around the world. So maybe you could take one of these back and give it to your pastor. I've got a whole stack of them. I only meant to print 250, but I've ended up with 500. So if you want to take an extra, please do, because I can't get it in my board bag. So it's either the flyers or my son, and I'm going to choose my son on this occasion. So I'd love for you to take one of those maybe to your church and just say, hey, there's this thing happening. The other resource that we've done is...
This one's more discipleship-based, eh?
Yeah, so when we started our church in the southwest of France, we started with an Alpha course. Many of you guys know what the Alpha course is. It's an introduction to Christianity, and you can teach it live or you can use a video series. And we we did a bit of both. We used the video series, and sometimes I'd teach it live. Around a table, having food, conversation, investigating faith together. And I just loved that as the setup. Instead of the professional pastor being on the stage telling everybody how it is and how they need to sort their lives out, what we did is we went, okay, let's go explore what this Christianity is and let's do it together. So we just invited a whole bunch of our non-Christian friends and we just explored this thing, and that's how our church was birthed. And I just went, I'd love to see a surfy type thing that's similar to that. So my son, who's a filmmaker, we put together a thing called The Surfer's Guide to Faith. It's a 5-week introduction to Christianity as a resource to Christian surfers to use in your small groups as a mission tool, and also for churches to use as a mission tool in their spaces.
I was going to say, this sounds, and I've watched the first episode, and I can just see how that can work in our local Christian surfers. We met on a Sunday afternoon. But have you already heard of local Christian surfers groups using this as a resource?
Yeah, we've had a whole bunch. So we launched it online maybe a month ago, and we've probably got 14 different nations signed up, around about 50 different groups around the world, some of which are Christian surfers, some of which are surf churches, some of which are churches I've never heard of before, which is just awesome. So we have a website called the what's the thing called? Surfer's Guide to Faith.
Surfer's Guide to Faith.
surfersguidetofaith.com. You can go on there and you can sign up and you get access to the full 5 episodes completely free. So if you don't like it, stuff it. Watch something else. If you do like it, you can use it. It's easy days, but it's a resource that I hope you'll enjoy. Should we show a little clip? We've got a trailer, I think.
I reckon that'd be good.
All right.
This isn't just adventure for the sake of adventure. It's a journey, one that dives into faith, purpose, and the life-changing power of Jesus. The Surfer's Guide to Faith is a fresh, engaging way to bring the gospel to your surf and beach community, meeting people right where they are. Follow our 2 hosts on a surf trip to South Africa where adventure and faith collide. Each episode opens space to pause, reflect, and connect with the gospel in a way that feels real and approachable. This 5-week course is designed to make it easy for you to invite your non-Christian friends over for good food and even better conversation. So are you ready to take your community on the greatest adventure of all? This is the Surfer's Guide to Faith.
So there we go. Thanks.
I've got so many questions about the ostrich, but we don't have time. So is there anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, so actually this is a beautiful model of young people being mentored within the CS world. My son, when stuck with us in COVID with the Harleys, we start to scramble as to how we're going to do the international gathering. So Roy and I came up with the idea that we'll do this online gathering. I think this is 2020, eh? Yeah, so we'll do this online gathering. And I've done a bunch of stuff in the editing world and a little bit in this space. And so Roy and I are kind of working out what we're going to do. And then Roy says, do you know what? We need to give, just like when Brett was 17 when he started this thing, we need to make sure that we're giving the kids a go. And we looked at one of them and said, oh man, we just need to hand this off. Instead of it being about us, let's hand this off. So we gave my son and my daughter the chance to present this thing and build out a 3-hour online program. And my son, who just started doing a little bit of film work and editing, was given the task of editing, writing, producing the whole thing. He got so deep-ended, but he fell in love with film. Then hanging out with people like Reese here and other people across the network that have just inspiring films, my boy just got so inspired by communicating faith through film. And so now he's ended up in California, he's studying in LA film, and his whole passion is to how do we use this stuff to communicate the gospel. So this is his first ever series, and he's but produced, edited, directed, filmed, and then we got involved in a little bit of the writing with him. But it's been an amazing journey.
First of many by the sounds of it?
Yeah, we'll see.
I think so. Hey, can we give Richard and also the Surf Church Collective team just a big round of applause? So good to have you here and to hear a little bit more of the story and all the stuff on your seats. I encourage you to have a look at. You know what else is on your seats? Has anyone noticed these pies? Is anyone like, where did the pies come from? So I had nothing to do with this, but this is from New Zealand, and I can give you a hint that you should scan it and you should look for the pie inside the Instagram page, because the prize is a Christian Surfers New Zealand t-shirt, and it's the first person to find the pie wins. All right? That's what the pie was about. Everyone's like, oh, I thought New Zealand was just saying that they have the best pies, and you were right. We do have the best pies. And do you know what? If you put it into ChatGPT, who has the better pies, New Zealand or Australia? It says New Zealand. It actually says New Zealand. So go and take it up with ChatGPT if you have an issue with that. All right. For the crew on live stream, we're actually going to take you guys to the first episode of The Surfer's Guide to Faith. And now I'm going to invite up our man, our keynote speaker, Alex Reynolds, for his quarter...
Indy!
Come down!
Come down, bro!
We're surfing!
It's cooking!
Three words. Indy hates Dornies, but his friends don't care.
It's cooking! Come down!
Indy is definitely a Grom. That means he'll try and go surf anytime he can, except for Dornies, of course. In fact, every time he goes for a surf in the morning, he comes back late for school, which his mum does not appreciate. The problem is he always needs one more wave, one more set, one more turn, one more sense of achievement. So he catches that last wave over and over and over and over and over. As surfers, we all know how it feels to be searching for that next perfect wave, that next incredible experience. And this search goes beyond just surfing. We strive for a good career that pays well, people that admire who we are, that crazy surf trip, a perfect quiver, a house, with a wave garden, a pipeline. We are all looking for things to fill our lives with meaning and purpose, and asking what that is, well, it could be one of the most important questions you'll ever ask yourself. During this series, we'll be looking at how faith plays a massive part in answering these questions that shape our lives. Welcome to The Surfer's Guide to Faith. Over to the hosts.
Hi, my name's Rick Ellington, and I am also known as the Ginger Vicar.
I'm Andy Frost, also known as the Boating Bishop.
Now, together we've been on some crazy adventures around the world, searching for waves and adventure.
Each time we looked at a big theme around meaning or purpose, but this series is our simple guide to faith.
Now, wherever you are in your journey of faith, we want you to know that while we discuss these themes, this is an excellent and a safe place to explore those thoughts. So in your group discussions, just go for it, share what you're thinking, and don't worry if you disagree with somebody else. You can express your thoughts, your feelings. It's what the entire series is about. We've come on a brilliant, exciting surf trip to the very famous Jeffreys Bay.
And in this episode, we're going to be exploring two things. First of all, what do we mean by the term faith? And second of all, what is the Christian story?
Now, we want to kick off straight away with a question. So the question we've got for you is, what adventure would you like to go on?
I would just go backpacking around Europe.
I would probably rent a private jet.
I'm into Greek culture a lot, so I probably visit the statues over there.
Travel wherever, on an island,
It's a 5 to 6 month hike, 3,000 miles. It starts in Mexico and ends in Canada.
This is the worst thing to do. This is the worst thing than filming, watching this. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Look at this now. Why are we filming?
Just hurry up.
Okay, okay.
So we've made it to Jeffreys Bay, mate. We've made it to the world famous, one of the best right-hand point breaks in the world.
But I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, obviously I haven't surfed for a while, I live in London. But also, mate, this is super sharky here, isn't it?
Well, there's only been two shark attacks this year.
Exactly. That for me is more than I like.
But out of how many thousands of surfs there's been over the last 12 months? But only 2 shark attacks.
Last time we were here, right, we did the whole kind of cage diving thing with sharks.
Yeah.
And that put me right off.
I'm just throwing a chum in the water just to try and attract sharks. This is how mad my life is. I'm actually trying to get sharks to come to me right now.
So Rich has been told that he's been chumming wrong. You not meant to throw in the big bits, just the liquidy oil to create the liquid surface and attract the sharks, rather than throwing in lumps of fish. Rich, you failed us, mate.
Just come here.
I'll push you, mate.
It works like sunscreen. It's really good, and it's really good for moisturising that forehead of yours. I've heard it might grow some hair. Hey, we've got to try something.
I think, mate, this could be a game changer, man. Actually, you might discover after today that actually sharks are really quite cute.
No. Oh man,
Goodness me, that's huge. Flipping it.
Oh, my heart's just going mental.
Being inside that cage, like a toothpick kind of metal structure.
Like a glorified shopping trolley. And kind of get inside there completely trusting this thing that's going to protect your life against these big predators.
Mate, if ever, that was a moment of faith. Believing that thing would hold those sharks out from us was truly, man, that was...
A bit like being in a zoo, but just the other way around, wasn't it, really?
It is.
Now, the idea of faith then, so we talked about there the idea of this kind of putting our trust in this metal cage, but faith is more than that, isn't it? Yeah. No, everybody has some kind of faith, some kind of explanation for why we're here. Some might be quite worked through, others quite conceptual, but we all have to have some understanding for what life is all about.
And there's probably 3 main groups when it comes to answering the big questions of life. First, there's the atheists, those that don't believe in a God. They believe in science, and they believe that is the answer to how the whole thing works. And maybe that's you today.
Yep, that is the explanation, that we come from the dust and we go back to the dust, and that is it. But for others, there are those who are perhaps agnostic, who are unsure, who have seen some things and are questioning stuff, but aren't quite sure where they land.
And the third group is a religious world view. They frame the world through the religion that they belong to. Maybe they've been born into it, maybe they've converted to it, but either way, the premise of faith is found within religion.
And so for some of us, we've really wrestled with this stuff. We've read philosophy and different scriptures, and we've kind of come to our conclusions. But for other of us, it's more of a thing we've taken in by osmosis. It's kind of what has been given to us, and we've just accepted it. This series is an opportunity to explore actually what is our explanation. But more than just being an explanation, faith is also about action.
And I guess if you're a Christian and you believe a whole bunch of stuff, or even if you're an atheist and you've got a set of beliefs, if that doesn't lead to action in your life, then is there really faith? Faith is the setup that leads to action.
So faith is an explanation. Faith is action. But third of all, faith is a deep-seated confidence. It isn't certainty. I can't prove to you 100% that God is real, and an atheist can't prove to me 100% that God is not real. We have to look at the evidence, look at the reasons, and explore what makes most sense. of these episodes, we're going to be exploring some of the reasons why we have a confidence in God.
But for now, we're going to hit you with another question while we go for a surf.
Science. If there's not a probability associated with it, I don't even consider it in a truth scale. It's just belief.
I've always kind of struggled with religion, which I feel like faith is usually tied with that. I have a lot of faith in myself.
I put my trust in myself and my family, and honestly, just like with the universe, I feel like,
All my trust is in God, for sure. It's
Jesus.
There you go. I think yourself will fail you every time.
If they don't trust science, I don't trust them.
Know your worth and know yourself and put your faith, invest in you, basically. So that would be my answer. I have faith in myself.
Don't you hate it when that happens? Leash in two pieces and rocks everywhere. 20 minutes into the session and then I gotta go find or buy a new leash. Beautiful.
So we've been exploring the idea that our faith is about having an explanation. Now, as Christians, our explanation is found in a big story. The technical term is a meta-narrative.
Now, that meta-narrative is found described in the Bible. Now, some people look at the Bible and they go, it's just a book of rules. But in actual fact, it's a library of books telling the big story.
Hang on a sec. Some might say, well, can we trust this book? I mean, it's pretty old.
That's a great question. And there have been lots and lots of people who have investigated the Bible and have explored its validity. But there was one guy called Jim Warner Wallace, who actually was an LA County homicide detective. Now, he did an investigation into Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And remember, actually, this guy was an atheist. So he wasn't coming from a religious perspective. He was trying to look at this from a completely atheistic
And using his
position.
skills, I guess, as a detective as well.
Absolutely. So using those skills, he came to the conclusion that actually this is credible. Their accounts of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus are credible because there was no upside for them to lie about it. And in fact, they would give their lives for what they'd written in these words.
Wow. So that's a really helpful part of the story.
So Frosty, I'm wondering whether you can give us the overview of the entire Bible in just 5 minutes.
Challenge accepted. The Bible begins with God and ends with God and his people. He creates the whole earth, the heavens and the earth, and it is beautiful. It's full of life and colour. There are amazing beaches, incredible mountaintops, deep blue skies, and of course, perfect waves. And there are crocodiles, and there are squirrels, and there are armadillos, all of creation brimming with life. And we meet the main character, God, who refers to himself as us, Father, Spirit, Son, a living relationship full of love. God is love. And from this, he creates everything. And then he creates humanity in his image. Like God, we are called to be relational and creative. And there in the garden, God calls mankind to serve and preserve creation. We are called to partner with God. There is intent in who we are made to be. From the very beginning, it's clear that God wants us. He wants to be in relationship with you and with me. The story in the pages of the Bible begins in a garden, but it ends in a city. In the book of Revelation, we see how the story ends with a new heaven and a new earth where every tear is wiped away. And we live between these bookends. But the story is not straightforward. There is a twist in the tale. With the creation story complete, We glimpse God's heartbreak as Adam and Eve have hidden away from God. They have hidden because they've broken his one command. God says to them, "Where are you?" But he knows where they are. There is no hiding away from the consequences of what they have done. Their decision has immediate implications. Creation can no longer fully reflect the glory of God. Our relationship with God is broken. A God who is pure and holy and blameless can't be in relationship with imperfect people. Everything is thrown out of sync. Death enters the picture. But God longs to deal with the consequences of Adam and Eve's decision. He longs for things to be put right. And so right the way through the Old Testament, there are different ways that keep on failing. With Noah, there is a flood to wash things clean and start again, but it doesn't work. He calls Israel a nation to be blessed, to be a blessing, to represent who God is, but time and time again, they fail. There was a problem at the very core of humanity, the human heart. And God knew he had to deal with that to put things right again. And so the three-in-one God sends his son Jesus down into creation to make things right again. And the Jesus story is fascinating. He isn't born in a palace, but in a manger. He then waits 30 years before beginning his ministry. And he does the most incredible things. He heals the sick and raises the dead, showing the power of God. But he also challenges the injustice of the day, speaking out even against the religious leaders. And he also shows God's heart for compassion as he welcomes the outsider and cares for the marginalized. And for all of this, his reward is death. Death on a cross. Nails in his wrists and a crown of thorns in his head and a spear in his side. But this is good news for all of us and for all of creation. And on the cross, he cries out, "It is finished." This perfect, selfless act cancels out the imperfect, selfish act of each and every one of us. Evil is defeated, and a way to the Father is opened up that we could be in relationship with him again. The body of Jesus then lies in a tomb for 3 days. But then there is the ultimate twist. As women go to the grave, they discover the grave is empty. Jesus has conquered death, and he calls his ragtag bunch of disciples to change the world, sharing this good news story. Jesus then ascends back up into heaven. The disciples are filled with the Holy Spirit, and the church is born. And this church, which isn't perfect, is called to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. And this is the big story. This is where we find ourselves here today. 2,000 years on, we have the choice to join this Jesus movement, to share in this good news, and that is the big story.
So I've got a question for you guys to discuss. Do you think the big story of the Bible has relevance to you today?
It is a great historic novel. I mean, there's great stories in it.
It's 100% true and relevant in every circumstance.
I think that Bible does definitely have relevance to today's society. I just don't think it's that common and not talked about anymore.
It's very hard to understand. I just
every good story has truth behind it, and the Bible is filled with ample amounts of good stories.
So in this session, we've been exploring the big idea of faith. We've also seen about the big Christian story that we have in the Bible.
Now, it may be the case as you've listened to Frosty and I that it's provoked lots of questions. We certainly hope so. Now, why don't you take a moment and write down the questions that you have about life, universe and faith, and in the coming weeks you can discuss them in your small groups.
In the next session, we'll explore creation and what creation has to say about the story that we have and how we begin to work out what our faith looks like for ourselves and how we live out our lives. This is not professional. It's ridiculous.
Well, that was stupid.